Hey pilots, Drain Man here, and today I have a very special video. Today we are going to check out the Tyro69. It is very important that I show you guys everything that I found. I don't want to just show you the good stuff and, oh God, go run out and buy one right now. No, that's not what I want to do. I want to show you guys everything, and that's the idea behind this review. So I want to start off with my very first and my very only flight with the Tyro69. Check it out. Alright, so I fly a little hard. So what? What if I was a beginner? Maybe I still am a beginner. That shouldn't have happened. And my drone got destroyed. I broke my camera. Look at this. Now what? Now I gotta put a new camera in it? So now it's not 69 bucks anymore. Now it costs me even more money. But any which way, I want to go over this drone with you guys. I think it's really cool that for 69 bucks, as a beginner, if you want to learn how to build a drone, this is perfect. You get your fingers wet, you get your soldering iron wet, and you get to start learning how to build. And that's super cool, super awesome. 69 bucks, who cares? Let's go, right? Well, what if you're an expert and you're great at this stuff? Well, hell, why not? 69 bucks gets you in the door, got you a frame, motors. I mean, you got everything. All you got to do is tweak the stuff that you want to tweak. I do want to keep in mind, though, for 69 bucks, you do not get a receiver. So I decided to roll with the RXSR. It's from FR Sky, and that thing is 20 bucks. So my Tyro 69 is actually a Tyro 89. All right, you got it. This is a review. We are going to build it. We are going to set it up. I'm going to show you guys how to do all that if you don't know already. And then at the end, we're going to have some nice flight footage on how it went for me on my first flight and my last flight. Let's go. Okay, pilots, let's go ahead and crack this puppy open. All right, let's talk about this for a minute, though. This drone is only 69 bucks, okay? So that makes it cheaper than the Emax Tiny Hawk Freestyle, which, I mean, of course, that's a win. But the question is, how's the quality? Let's go ahead and see what comes inside. The idea behind this is for 69 bucks, I get to learn how to build a drone. If you're new enough to the game that you're not sure of the difference, that's what they are. You will have two motors caddy corner running one direction and two motors caddy corner running the other direction. And this will help you with that. You've got your frame, you've got your nuts, screws, you've got your 3D printed plate, which if you 3D print like I do, you can just make a different one, a different color. Battery strap, XT60, receiver, 4-in-1 plug. You've got your camera and VTX all in one, flight controller, ESC, and you've got your motors. Let's go ahead and bust this open and see what we got. I want to point out to you guys, if you're building it, there is an arrow right here. If you follow that arrow, it will help you out. Here's your little rubbers. Go ahead and put those on so your ESC can't touch the carbon fiber. Alright, when you're dealing with a 4-in-1, it's that easy. Your 4-in-1 is now done. The next thing you would want to do is put 4 more on and then get your flight controller on. That might make it hard to get to your ESC pad, so that's up to you how you do that. You also have an arrow on your flight controller. Put that arrow in the same orientation as your ESC. And then you've got 4 again. Now, there's a ton of things that I could be doing right now. I could be cutting these smaller. I could be using a different screw size. There's a ton of things I can do to kind of upgrade this. I could also change the VTX, put on a TBS Unify, probably a Nano Pro 32. I mean, I can do a lot of these types of things, and it would probably help quite a bit as far as getting better quality for this thing, but I don't want to do that. My goal with this review is to show you guys bare bones. The only thing I might use outside of what it came with would be a zip tie or something. Other than that, we are not going to alter or change this in any way. Alright pilots, so taking a look at this, if you see like this, you can see the stack is kind of leaning a little bit. So what I'll do is when I put the nuts on, I'll lock this side down a little bit tighter to kind of even that out. Now that we have our stack on and placed, I can see that I can reach my motor pads. If you look at a downward angle, see how you can see the motor pads? So I should have no problem soldering, putting these on. For new pilots who are going to be soldering these up, these are going to give you a hard time because it's just crap wire. I wish there was a way to convert it over and get silicone wire, but you can't. So go ahead and get your motors put on. I always put one screw on and I just leave it kind of loose. And then I put the next one on caddy corner and that will hold it in place. Alright, feel free to use a little bit of Loctite if you want for longevity, because vibration and other things might cause these screws to loosen up. And they are just small 1.5 millimeter screws, so the last thing you want to do is over tighten them. So definitely do not over tighten these screws. Alright, soldering up our motor wires. I've watched a couple people try to build these and I noticed that they really don't care. So what they do is they leave the wires way too long. And I'm going to be honest, I don't like it. I think it looks like crap. They wrap the wires around the stack and shove them under and it just looks really bad. So I'm going to take the time real quick. And what you're going to do is you're going to trim the wires to a length that reaches these 3 pads for this motor, these 3 pads for this motor, etc. And then I'm going to skin them, which is going to give me a hard time. And then I'm going to tin them and I'm going to install them. Let's go ahead and tin our pads first. That looks really good. If you can see those 3 dots, that's how you tin pads. I am extremely upset about this. Why would they not give us silicone wire? Alright, somehow I managed to skim those 3 wires. And we tin them. Alright, so that was absolute hell. Let's go ahead and hit the rest of them, and I'll see you guys back here. Alright, pilots, so I've put on all 4 motors. Alright, so that's how you remove your cap. So let's re-tin these pads. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to throw a little bit of extra solder on top. And the reason why is we want to have somewhere for our cap to go. Take your capacitor, trim it just a little bit, something like that. Alright, that side's on. Now I'm going to hit the other side. Alright, so our cap is now on and new and improved. It's shorter, it's not so crazy, and we don't have to worry about anything happening to it. You can put a little bit of heat shrink over that if you want. I'm probably going to leave it. Alright, that was pretty foolproof, just for the simple fact that it's only going to fit on one connector, so you can't screw that up. So now your ESC is connected. It was that simple. Connect the 4-in-1. That's going to make everything from your 4-in-1 electronic speed controller talk to your flight controller. Next up is going to be to get this guy ready. And it can be a little bit confusing because you have some different options. And this one over here is going to relate to your receiver. This up here is your camera, and this one is actually labeled VTX. So you just take this yellow and this black wire and plug that in for your VTX. VTX is done. Next up is going to be your camera, and that one you just plug these three in. And boom, camera is in. So now before we go any further, I want to get our receiver ready, and then we'll bind our receiver, and then we kind of just put everything together, and then we're done. That's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get our receiver ready. To connect your receiver, you're going to want to cut these wires. Boom. These are silicone wires. Thank God. I can't take any more of those plastic wires. After you've stripped them, you're going to tin them. You are going to solder up your S-bus to the square one. And then your 5 volt is the very next one. And then last but not least is your ground. And then let's give it a quick test, make sure everything's working before we move any further. I'm going to go ahead and plug a battery in and let's see what happens. Wow. Looking pretty good. We've got a red light on here. That's a good sign. Got a red light here. We've got lights on our VTX. That looks good. I'm pretty sure our camera's probably working. So we're looking pretty good. Alright, so for my crossfire, guys, if you plan to put a crossfire on here, it's no big deal. You do have an open UART on here. Feel free to use it, and then you can run crossfire. Be sure to bridge your S-bus pad. Do not forget to bridge that. Whew, that was a toughie. Alright, after you've bridged those, next up is to put your top on. Alright, so I got my camera fixed, I put on my goggles, I did an auto search with my TBS Fusion. I found that this was the wrong orientation and I got it fixed. So last thing to do is mount my receiver and then we're done. I'm going to go ahead and just wedge it up in there and mount it like that. That'll work for me. Alright, let's go ahead and do that now and then we'll take a final look. Okay, pilots, I tried to bind my XM Plus about 3 times. With no luck, I knew that something was wrong. I went ahead, I tried to flash it. It did work. I was able to flash it. Then I'm getting a red and a green light when I should just be getting a green light when it's connected. So I definitely have something wrong with my receiver. I will troubleshoot that at a later time. I went ahead and switched over to an RXSR, which is what you're seeing here. I have diversity reception with my antennas. I wrap them around the sides, and then I put 2 zip ties kind of poking out in a cool way. What I'm going to do is cut the zip ties to be about the same length as the antenna, and then I'm going to slide some heat shrink on. My heat shrink really isn't the closest color to the motor color, but I got as close as I could, and for this drone, I'm really not too worried about the looks, seeing how it already is an open style micro drone. Okay, pilots, let's jump over to Betaflight. We're going to set this up real quick. Nothing fancy. It's very simple. It does need its firmware flash, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to set it up to try it out. We do not need the barometer. Give a custom name for the OSD if you want it. The receiver came stocked at serial base. That's good. You've got your air mode, RX loss, so if you do lose your quad, you'll have that beeping at you. Then I go into the motors tab, plug in a battery, agree to take the props off, and I spin it up and I'm going to check. I do have a motor going the wrong way, and it's different than BL Heli 32. If you have BL Heli 32, that is not what you need. Make sure you have the BL Heli S or the BL Heli Suite. When you get in there, indicate which motor it is that's running backwards. Go ahead and switch it. And then be sure to right setup. It's very easy. You do have to have your battery connected for this portion. If your battery's not connected, please plug it in, hit read setup, and then swap whatever you got to swap. And then from there, you can go back to Betaflight and check it out and make sure it's right. As far as the settings go, I didn't touch any of the ESC protocol. So right now, my Tyro69 came running one shot on it. Now, why would I change it? It's a whole package. It's a drone all in one. Why would I change that? So, and then I went ahead and took it for a test flight. I'm going to show you what happened. I did set up my OSD first. Very simple. Check on the things that you want. Stick them in the corner where you want them. You can plug your goggles in while doing this to be sure that it is where you want it, because sometimes you'll move it on here and it won't be this exact same on your goggle feed or on your OSD. Okay, and don't forget to click save. So here's the video where I take it for a quick test. And what I do is I get it down on the ground, I start recording DVR, and as I take off, I notice something's not right. She shoots straight up, it indicates a runaway, and then it falls right out. Now, the only reason I showed you guys that is so that you make sure and you set the correct protocol, which is D-Shot 600 for your Tyro69. So when you do that, make sure you select the correct protocol. All right, next up, we're going to go ahead and run some real footage of what went well. I want you guys to see how this thing rips. Of course, this is the one and only flight I have before I crashed mine. Once I crashed, which personally, in my opinion, I don't even feel like it was that serious of a crash. I mean, I hit a tree, I bounced off the roof, I landed on the floor, camera was shattered, it was hanging out of the top. I mean, it was a mess. I was like, what the heck? So I wanted to be sure to lock that in for you guys and show you guys. But here's the footage right here. You can see that this thing is flying good. So don't let it be the one that, don't let that keep you from buying this quad. This is a really good quad. If you do decide to buy it, I have links down in the video description. All right, pilots, that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.